and looked up at the gospel singers that we knew, and I was like, Cece, there we go, Cece. Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Dell.
And this is the Black Catch-Up, where we're catching up on iconic black media we missed out on in our more conservative religious childhood.
Sunday, so we're doing music today.
Yes. And we listened to Toni Braxton by Toni Braxton, her self-titled debut album.
Yeah.
So, here's just a little blurb of it on Wikipedia. Toni Braxton is the debut studio album by American singer Toni Braxton. It was released on July 13th, 1993 by LA Face Records and Arista Records. And, yeah. I think Babyface was one of the producers.
Yeah, I think I saw that too.
And that comes up a bit.
Okay, yeah. So I guess kind of start off as usual, kind of like highlights, favorite songs. Yes. You want to start this one off?
Yeah, I'll start off. I will say Toni Braxton's voice is very beautiful. I really liked the sound of her voice. It was, the way I described it, and this is going to sound weird, but she sounds like either like a CeCe Winans or like one of those gospel singers that we were used to hearing when we were kids, or like a heavier Whitney Houston. And what I mean by that is not heavier in size, but like the tone of her voice was just heavier. Like Whitney's known for being like light and just like going up in those high notes and doing crazy acrobatics with it. But Toni still had that same kind of tone, but it was just like deeper, like heavier. Like that's the only way I could think to describe it. It sounded heavier.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess kind of the first thing I kind of picked up on was, I guess, also like her singing, but I thought the whole album kind of had like this kind of like almost like trancey kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And I think the two songs that were kind of my favorite, I guess one song was Breathe Again. I don't know, like I just really thought that song was just like really smooth and
that
just kind of like
nice
almost like captured the essence of kind of the whole project for me. So yeah, like that was one of the highlights for me.
I did like that song as well. I actually don't have any favorite songs in this album, but I did like her sound, and I also said that she sounds almost like a bit, like she had a bit of Michael Jackson and like Whitney influence on her. I can't think of the particular song, but there was one song that I was like, that sounds a little Michael-y. And that makes sense because I feel as though Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston influenced like pretty much everybody.
Even the cover looks like that.
Yeah.
Bad, so, you know.
I will say that's the first instance I've known about this cover was when Beyonce dressed as her for Halloween that one year.
Okay.
That's the only reason I was like, hey, this looks familiar. I was like, because Beyonce dressed as her one year.
Alright, yeah, so I guess the next song I had was, the next song I liked. I thought it was hard to pick songs for this one, but, Love Affair, I thought it had like a really like jazzy feel to it that I liked. I used to play saxophone, so like like anytime I kind of hear like a nice saxophone in a song, I kind of just like it. So I had that one, and then I think either 7 Whole Days or You Mean the World to Me. Like again, I thought all the songs kind of had like a similar vibe to it, so it's kind of hard to pick like single songs to like say are my favorite or like say I really liked. The whole album kind of just blended together for me. So, yeah, but I guess that's kind of all I had.
Yeah, that's all I have too for like our favorite things.
Alright.
So now we go into our like least favorite things, least favorite songs if we have any.
Yeah.
You can go first on that.
Yeah, so for me, again, the one dimensionality of it kind of was a big hit for me. Again, like a decrease in points.
No, I understand that's a thing, but like you say it like how it's like that was a hit, and I was like, do you not know what we're talking about?
Yeah, it was not a hit. It was
we're not on that.
It was just a decrease,
Okay.
But yeah, it just like got really like not even like I don't know if stale is the word, or I just found myself like waiting to hear something different, or like kind of just not really knowing which song was which, or like when the song ended, when the next song started. Like it kind of just felt like I was in that one like trancey kind of state for the whole time, and I didn't really want to be in that state. Like I didn't really want to be feeling like or listening to this type of song the whole time.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was just like I just thought it was really like she has her sound and this is the sound.
Yeah.
That was kind of a problem for me.
Yeah, I more or less have the same thing where just the album was just so very slow, and there was nothing like upbeat, high tempo, high energy, not even any like crazy vocal acrobatics, either high or low, to break everything up. So like you said, it was like you were listening to the same sound the entire time. And I think that's why I didn't have a favorite, because it was like they're all almost the same song. Like they just all sounded so similar, and I get that that was her vibe and her tone, but I was like, I'm still listening to this. Like, how am I still listening to this? And what was actually wild was I tried to listen to this. At least when I listen to albums, I listen to it front to back, in order the first time, just so because that's how the artist put them in their front order for a reason. So I do it that way. But for some reason, I must have accidentally had it on shuffle, because I normally listen to music on shuffle. So it was out of order, and I was like, oh crap! And then I put it in order, and I was like, that did nothing.
No, the same thing happened to me, and I didn't even notice because "Breathe Again" came on, which is like the second song and the last song.
Yeah.
So I think the last song version came on.
Yeah.
Because I think at the end she breathes out, and I thought that was cool how she ended her album like that. And so I was like, all right, let me do it one more time, give it one more listen before we do this. And she did the out breathe, and I was like, she does that in both songs? What? then the next song came on, and I was like, oh, it's on shuffle. Okay. Then I replayed it, and I was like, yeah, it did.
Yeah, it just was one of those things where I was like, I listened to it out of order at first, and I was like, oh man, maybe I missed something. That's why I was so bored. Then I put it in order, and I was like, I missed nothing. Never mind.
Yeah. So okay. Is it my turn now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The other thing I had, I don't really know if this is a real thing, but every song just kind of seemed like it sounded like another song I'd rather hear. It almost sounded like this is Toni Braxton's song, but there's a song over here that sounds similar but better.
Ooh, I
would rather be listening to this song over here.
Well, I didn't think I would rather be listening to it, but there was one. I wish I wrote it down. But there was one song where there's a line in it. I think it was one of the first few songs.
Probably.
There was a line in it, and I was like, I've heard that another song before.
Yeah,
What's going on there? And I think it was an Usher song or something like that.
Maybe.
I don't even know. I don't know why Usher's coming out of my head, but I remember that. I was like, what song was that? And I didn't write it. I should have written it down. But at that point, we were already I was already 4 songs in somehow, and was like, what? What happened? And then I don't know.
And the hard part is this came out in '93, so it's possible someone else has sampled her.
Yeah, they
and
probably
I like
have.
that song more, or it's possible she sampled something and I like the other song more. But I don't know. I just kept getting that vibe that there was some other song that I should be listening to instead of this.
I only had it once, but I was like, oh, cool. I think someone sampled her. That's good.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Okay. Any other? That was all your problems. Okay.
Just that it sounded the same.
Yeah.
We'll get into it in my rating, but that's.
Okay. All right.
Do you have any other problems?
No. Yeah. Those are my only 2 things.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess we can get into ratings now.
Yeah.
Want to go first?
I gave this a 3 out of 5. Honestly, her voice saved it, because other than that, this is a very middle of the road album to me, because it all sounded so similar. Nothing stood out as crazy good. Nothing stood out as crazy bad. It was just an album. And if you were what does R&B music sound like? You can point someone to this album and be like, here, and then branch off either above or below it, basically.
Yeah.
As they learn more their taste. But it was just so. And I kind of gave her a pass for it a little bit, because it's her first album, so I think maybe she was still finding her sound. And when I was looking her up on Wikipedia, there was the second album, Secrets, has a few number ones that I think I've heard before. So I was like, okay, this wasn't enough to put me off of her as an artist, but I'm probably not coming back to this album.
Okay. For me, this one got it too. Again, I thought her singing was really good, but I think for me, this just wasn't the album for me. And again, like you said, it's very middle of the road R&B. So it's you just don't get anything really exciting with this one, And so for me, that would I just needed something more on that front. And also, I don't know, I thought the soundtrack, or not the soundtrack, but the instruments just seemed louder than her for most of it. Or at least I heard that more. That may just be my own personal bias. I like listening to instruments more than voices generally, but
I'm the opposite. I like listening to voices.
Yeah. So that could
so that's
very
probably
much be a
why.
bias. That could very much be a bias. And then again, the instrumentals were very regular, very consistent. So
Mhm.
you know, for me, it was a 2. Like, you know, again, it did have its good points. I did like songs on there, but again, like I wanted more, and like for albums I want to listen to, I would want more, you know.
Yeah.
And actually, I was thinking about this being her first album too, because it does seem like a first album. Like it seems like sort of safe,
Yeah.
you know. And then again, like I think after the fact, I had looked up like her Wikipedia briefly, and I also noticed that her next album was a lot more popular supposedly. So
Yeah. But like even one of the critics said that like she's never out of control, indignant or anguish, and that she's always like retaining her dignity. And you can really see that because she's like talking, because her album songs are like another sad love song and all this stuff, but she doesn't like get vulnerable, I guess is the word. And and at least personally for me in music, I kind of want a little bit more of that vulnerability. So you're like, oh, this like there's a little bit of like grit to this or something.
Yeah, she's like talking about these like heartbreak things, like love, but you don't really feel that like extreme emotion, you know, like you don't really get those like extreme peaks and valleys. You just kind of get like, okay, like she'll change her voice a little bit and you'll hear it, but you know, it doesn't kind of get to that extreme level that I would have liked to hear.
Yes. So the last song, question: which song, if any, would you put on your playlist? I almost feel as though we should change this question to be, where would you play this album? Because that's kind of how we
that's kind of how and that's how I thought about it. So we could just change it. It's our show. We can change it. Okay, so I guess ask the question again.
Okay, where would you play this album?
Yeah, so for me, I said this like gets played when I'm like kind of in my feels, in that like in your bag, like sitting alone in your room. Maybe something just happened. You don't feel like crying. You just feel like singing something, or just like listening to someone sing. So I have that playlist, and like this like songs on this album would get on there.
Okay.
With one caveat that only one song would get on there. I don't know which one, and I don't really care which one, to be honest.
You would just put one though.
But like one song would make it, you know. But like only one.
It actually doesn't even matter which song.
Yeah, like to me, they all give that same vibe. I'm like, okay, I need a Toni Braxton song right now. Shuffle whichever first song comes on. Chances are I'm gonna do it. You know.
That makes sense.
So where are you playing this album?
Okay, so I kind of answered this a little wacky, but like I personally wouldn't add this to my playlist, but I feel as though this album would have been very, very popular wedding season in the 90s, early aughts. Like when I was listening, I was like, I could totally see like the bride and groom, not like their first dance, but just like dancing to this on the floor. And like if you go to a wedding now, you can see like your aunt or something like that, your older aunt or like older cousins be like, oh my gosh, remember that wedding we went to, and then like the bride and groom like danced to this and they had like a funky dance or whatever. That's exactly where this album would play. A wedding.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not where I would play it, like not at my wedding, but like
that's where it would.
But I was like, this is exactly where this would go. Like I knew exactly.
All right.
And some of them are like proper love songs, so like.
No, there were some good ones in there.
Yeah, so I could see a few of them being like the bride and groom's, like maybe not the first dance, maybe the second dance or something. But.
And again, like the instrumentals are like pretty consistent. Like you can dance to them, you can like have a good time. Like they definitely kind of give off that vibe. And you're just like slowly swaying, so you don't have to do anything. It's so like low key. You don't have to do anything crazy. Like you know how nowadays people have like whole choreographed first dance. No, this isn't that. You don't need to know how to dance. You're just like not even in proper form. You're just like swaying. Just feeling the music, you know. I like that.
Yeah. So that was Toni Braxton.
YouTube housekeeping. Like, comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell for notifications. You can also comment us any suggestions you have. We do music and TV on Sundays, and on Tuesdays and Fridays, we watch movies. All of our social media will be linked in the description down below, and we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye.
That first time, like when I told you I got like 2-3 songs in and passed out, and then I woke up and I was like, I didn't even realize I fell asleep. Like I swear the same song was on, so I was like, all right.